Welcome to The Final Edit, a podcast brought to you by Maine, a private network for 7 to 9 figure female founders where women redefine success, legacy, and influence.
We're your hosts, Maritza Toban and Hannah Nieves. We're co-founders, mothers, and builders behind $1 billion vision.
These conversations are with leading founders who are shaping the industry and the future as they build it.
Welcome to The Final Edit. To the Final Edit. I'm Maritza and I'm here with Hannah and our lovely Ashley Jappe, who is one of our brand partners, but most importantly, also a friend. She's absolutely fantastic. And I need you all to know, in true Final Edit form, we are in the middle of one of our events. We're in Maine. This is our wellness and longevity retreat. And one of the brands that Ashley represents is our incredible sponsor. And as we've been chatting throughout the day, we were just like, hey, we have got to record a podcast episode because there is so much depth to this woman and there is so much that she brings to the table in her industry, but also just how she shows up in spaces that I think is so admirable. And I needed you all to meet her. So
oh my goodness.
Without further ado, please,
wow.
Who is this woman standing before us? Before she was this wine connoisseur, movement maker, mother, marketing director. What is the Ashley origin story?
Wow. You know, I have always been a searcher. From when I was really, really little, I've always wanted to understand people and understand philosophy and why one philosophy was right over another philosophy. And so I think my life has just been a series of learning and searching and exploring. And I really want to start by saying that I think that all of this is inside of us, inside of all of us. There's no one that doesn't have that special spark, that special charisma. And I believe that it starts with getting to know yourself. And so in this series of exploration, I have been committed to taking off all the layers, to facing my shadows, to being 100% honest, even if it hurt. And I think that that's where it all starts.
Yeah. Wow. Do you see what I mean? Like, this is so much more than non-alc wines.
So much bigger. And I'm just so thankful for you just being here. I just want to kick off with that. And I really just love how you are so passionate about this identity work. And we were talking before we had recorded this podcast episode, just like about how that has so much influence over not only ourselves, but also like the companies we build, the brands we build. So I'm just curious, like how that identity work and just brand culture like plays a role in the work that you're doing now in wine.
Culture is so important and it's defined in so many ways. And so I think that what's often overlooked is that you have to hire the internal team that you want to exude externally. So cultural fluency is not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
It is understanding your market, understanding what motivates them, why they purchase, and then hiring a team that is a core of who they are and their identity, because the way they move, the way they hire, the way they partner will be connected to that. And too often companies try and monetize on cultural moments. But the big unlock is that you can build towards them internally and authentically and have your own moments. And so I want more and more brands to understand that you don't have to take the cheap approach to monetization. You can truly build something real and foundational that eventually leads to profit. But it starts from the inside. So that's my approach to the cultural brands that I'm building, is to make sure that my team represents the community that I want to build.
Wow. And that's so interesting too, because you're in a world that is a very traditional and it's rooted in heritage and history and probably set in its own way. So how are you actually executing this vision with team in that kind of environment? Like, how do you bring cultural moments and bring in, trends, or how does that translate in this world?
That's a really big question. And I'm thinking about it so many different ways right now. I'm thinking about managing up and managing down and how we go to market. So I can touch on all of those things briefly.
Yeah. I love that.
Managing down should never be about hierarchy. And I think that we get so power hungry that we want to say, here's where I sit within this company and here's who needs to listen to me. But the reason that you bring in people to your team is to hear diverse voices. So you got to really be able to listen, and not only listen, but hear what people are saying and want to make a difference. And what I encourage my team to do that is likely different than a lot of leaders is to make sure that whatever you're doing internally for your job, that you're also building your external life, that you are so passionate about what you're doing and that you're not just making money for the company, you are creating an ecosystem for yourself. And so the way that my team approaches business, they're passionate about it because they're doing just that. So if you can think about culture as a two-way street, you're really going to create something magical that your team wants to work for you. Your team wants to show up because they know that you care. And then managing up is really challenging in a heritage industry. And, I get vulnerable. I've cried many times.
Oh, wow.
And I think that vulnerability is such a form of strength. And we have projected it into society as something to be embarrassed about. But it's just emotion. It's just a way that you show that you care. And when you're not able to crystallize an idea, or when something clashes up against your values or who you are, and you emote, that's beautiful, because that means your walls are down. That means that you are creating something from your core that you want to make sure is seen and validated. So leading up starts with being vulnerable. Leading up, especially when you're building cultural relevance, is about having those hard conversations. And I think that more and more leaders today understand, whether they want to or not, whether they want to build cultural relevance or not, it is the route to monetization as well. So where it is true to me and my core, and I want to create companies that listen and that move from passion and belief and connection, the heritage approach to market is starting to understand that real connection is the best way to market. And then going to market, the last thing here is the way that you show up. Because if you start from the beginning and you've already built your internal team and you are building a language and you're building a community, then the partnerships that you have are also just so tremendously important in amplifying that message. That's why I really love what you two have created. I mean, I tell you this all the time, it's palpable. You're creating something that all of us are searching for in the chaos of becoming. We are searching for belonging. And I just want to let you know that you've touched me.
Oh, thank you.
Honestly, don't make me cry. I told you I'm crier. And stop it. You stop. Oh my gosh. But this is it's such a beautiful thing. And you guys have touched me to my core, and I know that that's how your community feels too. So I'm honored to be a part of what you're creating.
Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful. So, wow, she's crying. we're just so grateful for you. And, you know, as you were talking, I was just thinking about like, there's so much courage that also goes into, you know, bringing something like this to heritage brands, to your team, to your peers and people. And something that I'm even just connecting on is like, even for us, you know, coming into this industry of private networks and communities where, you know, there's kind of these like old school networks that are out there. I feel like there's always kind of like this one way, and we've, you know, experienced resistance, you know, bringing our own culture. So I'm just curious, like, have you experienced, you know, resistance as you were bringing this, you know, topic and conversation to, you know, heritage companies?
Absolutely. I've been told I'm not done talking. I've been quieted. I've been kept out of rooms. Absolutely. I've been echoed without the alignment of what the message is. There's always a disconnect when you're trying to build something real and when that is different from the way and the history and the business models that have been built before. And how I find that I break through is finding allies. There's are other people.
Power of your network.
The power of your network. Yeah. And finding people that can rally behind the idea and proving out the business model. When you prove that something can work even in a small silo, it gets recognized and amplified. And so I think that resistance is so normal. And that's when you know you kind of have something too. When someone just like pushes against it in ways that you feel like you're getting traction and then it kind of is taken away from you. That momentum is really important to notice when you have it, and the energy that is for it and against it. And I think that, yeah, that's how you start, just with allies and moments that you can prove.
Yeah. And I love that you touched on that, because it just shows, again, like the power of your network, your community. It's like we always need that support, no matter what it is that we're doing in life or business. So I love that you touched on that. And something else that I actually want to go back to as well is when you mentioned that when you're managing up, you know, it's about vulnerability. I want to take a moment and like pause on that, because that's so rare to hear. Like in every leadership podcast or book, it's always like, here's how you get buy-in, you know, from the leaders above you. Like, here's how you justify, you know, your case. Or it's never about like, hey, here's just how to like show up with emotion or not be afraid to be an advocate for your own cause. And I think it's just really powerful how you're reshaping that narrative about managing up, you know, and down. So that shows as well, you know, just like the fantastic leader that you are. And I'm sure your team is like just so happy, you know, to have you. So with that, just going back, you know, on that note of a heritage brand, how does that translate in market, right? Like, how are you able to honor, you know, the history and the core essence of these brands while shaping culture and staying relevant? How, like, what does that look like?
So when you think about a brand, there are two different sides of being culturally relevant. So the first is understanding what your values are as a brand. We call it a brand universe. And so that includes purpose, mission, vision, values, essence, badge value. And we can go into those, but essentially what it means is like you move in an aligned manner, and you have to use it that way though. What I mean by that is when you say this is our purpose, it's not just something that you put up on a wall. It's something that you filter decision making through. And so I am very connected with my team in ways that opportunities come and we put it through our brand universe. Does this align with who we are? Is this aligned with our values, where we're headed to? And I also have my team focus on 10 years, 20 years out, which is very uncomfortable for teams. and companies that care about this month and this fiscal year. And what I am training our teams to think about is cultural relevance doesn't happen in a vacuum. It has to be planned, it has to be intentional, and it has to be built. And so when you can build via your values, your purpose, your mission, then that's something that lasts, right? It's not something that you're trying to capitalize on how you approach moments. It's something that you build towards. So that's the first part of the culture and like building brands that you're respecting heritage, because you're not changing that. You're not changing the core of who you are. What you're doing, and this is often misunderstood in updating and making brands relevant, is you're not changing the brand to fit a specific moment in time. You are changing the brand to become relevant with the audience that you're serving, meaning you are still operating from your values. You are still you, but I'll give you something that is very basic, but it changes depending on how you look at generations. So whereas older generations, the boomer generation, really cares about accolades and craft and that was your go-to-market and the competitive edge. Now with younger generations, they truly care about identity, and they care about the brands that I use are an extension of my own identity. So what do you stand for? And that goes back to purpose. So you're kind of being truly aligned with the brand and culture today by continuously thinking through, how am I adding value beyond the point of purchase? It can't be about one moment. It can't be about one transaction. We're people, we're complex, we're nuanced. We want products that make our lives easier, more efficient, more meaningful. And so thinking through that lens is how you both maintain heritage and also make your brands connect in a more impactful day and time that we're in.
Wow, that was a whole lesson on its own.
It was a
I'm gonna have to
master
come back.
class.
Seriously.
And it made me think too of like, I wonder what your thoughts are on everything that's going on with Jaguar. I don't know if you're like up to speed with what happened with that brand, but you know, Jaguar has been around forever and it's also considered a heritage brand, classic brand. And they tried to, you know, go to market and become relevant in what's happening with the world now. So they created a campaign that basically had nothing to do with cars at all. And, you know, it's being labeled as, oh, they tried to do something very woke, you know, to be relevant, but they totally missed the mark of what is their brand essence, you know, and who their customers are. And so they got so much heat for that. And I think if you would have been part of those meetings, this would have not happened. So.
You know what? I think that reinventing brands is one of the most challenging things, because as people, we kind of have a core essence, and like think about how we age over time and how we're constantly evolving and we're constantly changing, some of us more than others, but we are creating our own brands, and you truly have to adjust to the time or you're kind of outdated, right? It's the same with brands. If you, for a long period of time, 20, 30, 40 years, decide not to reinvent, not to evolve, and then you take this massive step, it's going to feel forced and not authentic. And so the most important thing for brands wanting to evolve from heritage brands to culturally relevant brands is to understand the consumer that you're trying to attract. Mm-hmm. We cannot be everything to everyone. And
did you hear that, Jaguar?
Yeah, you can't be everything to everyone. And it's really important to provide solutions. What I mean by that is really good brands have a good craft, and great brands have a good experience. And excellent brands, exceptional brands, solve problems that consumers don't even know that they have. And I'll give you an example. Peloton, right? You're exercising, but they're also working on your mental strength at the same time. They're solving a problem, and when you get on that bike or when you get on the tread, they're also creating a parallel value for you, that they're building your mental stamina as well.
I miss you, Kendall Toole. Never knocked out crew.
I miss Kendall.
I really miss her.
Yeah. And then despite what you think about the Tesla brand, the looking for your keys all the time, misplacing your keys, and then them having the keys in the app instead. So you always have your phone, so you're never missing your keys. Those are the solutions that more companies need to think of, because it's not the product, it's in addition to the product. And it's usually what keeps people coming back, because you're building these micro communities based on things that consumers didn't even know that they wanted solved in the first place.
There's like so many directions I want to go on that. Like, this is so beautiful. And you know what's coming up for me is like, as you're talking about brand as a whole, I just like made this like deep connection to the beginning part of what we talked about, which is like, it starts from within before it goes external. And I just want to like talk about that for a second, because you know, as you were talking about, you know, just like the narrative of what this looks like with brand essence and things like that, how has like your own leadership either evolved or changed as you've like embarked on doing this for heritage companies?
You know, I really, like, where we started was that I've always been consistently curious. And so that is my philosophy for brands too, of always searching and always finding. And so being able to learn from the greats, we don't have to do it alone. There are so many people who have gone before us, and there are a lot of philosophers that really hit at the heart of what we're all looking for. And so my evolution as an individual and my evolution as a business leader have really gone hand in hand. I want to create impact that builds you from the inside out. Like, if I could have any lasting impact in my life, it's the people who I meet feeling that true, real connection and the understanding that I care about who they are when no one's looking.
Ooh, love them.
And a lot of times we care about the fun, we care about the laughter, we care about the joy, but there's a lot of pain in this world too. There's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of sadness that's hidden. And, you know, the people that you feel are the happiest or that have it all together, everyone has moments. And I feel that we hide the moments, and we think that there's something wrong with us if we're not on the high. And then when we have a low, we feel like there's something wrong with us because we're not the fullest version of ourselves. And if we can think about not the highs or not the lows, but good, being in the middle where it's not high or low. And then when you experience the moments, you know you're always going to recalibrate back to that middle. We'll stop being so hard on ourselves, because life is hard, and we need more people to remind us that it's okay to not be on the highs. And in fact, it's normal to not be on the highs. And so I bring all of that up from the business side, because we have to look at our community, whether it's personal or corporate, as just humans, just like you and me, who want connection, who want to do well in their lives and have alignment. And I feel if you operate from that frequency and from that place, there's really nothing or nowhere that you're not going to excel at or in, because you're going to push away what's not for you and you're going to bring in what's for you.
Mm-hmm. Wow. What a poet. I know her, y'all. Oh my gosh.
You guys are so sweet.
Speaking of, right now we're sipping a delicious
non-alc
Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
Care of Luminera. Mm-hmm. Cheers, ladies. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right now you're in this space where you're literally shaping perception of an entire industry, right? Like the wine industry with this non-alcoholic movement, and it does not taste like there's no alcohol in it. So let's talk about that. And everyone has said that at this event. And I'm curious, from your perspective, what is that feeling that you want people in the world to have when they're starting to venture into non-alcoholic choices?
Okay. Oh, this is so good. Okay, the sober curious movement, as we call it, is really exciting. Luminara is such an incredible brand. And what I love about this brand is that it's the first Napa appellated non-alc wine. And there are water-based non-alcs and wine-based non-alcs, and they're both amazing for different reasons. But the Luminara goes through the entire vinification process. So the vines are planted, the grapes are grown, we go through harvest, we go through crush, we go through creating this beautiful wine. And then there's this technology that we use, which is vacuum distillation and spinning cone, which removes the flavors first from the wine, then removes the alcohol, and then you put the flavor back in. So you have truly wine. It's not a shortcut. It is full-on winemaking with an added process. So you get the complexity, the aroma, the mouthfeel, but it's non-alc. So that's the wine. That's why it's so special. It's incredible. And you should all try it because it's fabulous. When thinking about the non-alc movement, the reason why I'm so excited about this space is because it aligns with everything we've been talking about. It truly is for the person who is, for many reasons, but for many people, but who is busy, entrepreneur, involved in a number of things, kids, no kids, but still wants to connect and yet wants to get up and go to workout classes in the morning too, and wants to remain on and focused. And so before, where there were stigmas around not drinking, now there's non-alc, and it's become a tool for connection unlike anything else. And I'm really excited about it because the people who are curious about this space are really people who are curious about life too, and who want to maintain connection despite the stage of life they're in.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were talking about this before too. I have to find the study, but somebody recently did a study that these like younger generations coming up, they're so health conscious, but they still, like the idea of gathering and having a drink and everything, but they don't want to get wasted. Like they're not looking to get drunk. And we're seeing a decline of alcoholic like bars or alcohol driven bars in college towns that are being replaced by non-alc establishments. So people want, like mocktails and that sort of thing without all the negative effects that alcohol has. And we're not knocking, anyone. We like all still enjoy.
Yes, I love a good martini.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. That's like our drink of choice. Also like just a dry martini with olives.
Yes.
Same. So it's, everything with, in moderation. But yes, I love that this allows you to still have that same vibe that you enjoy of drinking a delicious Chardonnay, but you can carry on, with your event, and it's awesome. So
I love that. And it really is like centered around like everything that we believe with Maison, which is connection at its core, which I think is so beautiful. And it just aligns so beautifully with all of our values. I just want to say thank you just for like the wealth of knowledge that you have just poured into this episode. Like truly, I've taken away, and both from Maritza and I as like trained marketers coming from brand, I feel like even myself, I've learned just so much, so much more just by just talking to you. And you can just really feel like the presence and connection and just passion that you have behind your craft and what you do. And you truly are an innovator in your industry. So I hope you know that. And we're so thankful. So where can people connect with you after this episode?
Absolutely.
Fill us in.
Look, you can connect with me so many ways. I mean, LinkedIn is great. Instagram is great.
Fantastic.
And then through you guys.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
always and forever. Okay, so before we close,
yes,
we do have a signature question that we love to ask.
Oh my goodness, I don't know this.
And so sorry about that. And it's around how we're constantly evolving in our careers, in our personal journeys, all of those things. What would you say is one thing that you're holding on to right now, that you're editing right now, that reminds you that you're on the right path?
Editing in the sense of
Like what's
not allowing myself to be free?
or just like a draft of your story that you're still writing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I
The
drafted my
final
story.
edit.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. So many good questions.
We keep it deep here.
Oh, I
and
love it.
funny.
I love it. Both of those things. I want to create a new business model for how we approach connection. And a connection-based business model is not on the market today in the way that it needs to be. And so I am creating an aligned manner that is very unique because it depends on the people behind it, right? It's not just a paper. It's a community. It's an approach. It's an energy in the way that you build. And so I am being very thoughtful about how I edit and how I bring it to life. And I would love to do that for many industries.
And so it is.
And so
it is. Thank you, Sam Harper.
Thank you so much for being here and just joining us on this episode. And we'll also drop in the show notes the link to Luminara, to all of your social platforms. You guys need to try this wine. It is absolutely incredible. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, ladies.